Monday Night Wars podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Wars. We are live with the WCW Monday Nitro on TNT. It's actually it's not called Monday Night Nitro, right? It's just Monday Nitro. I think I call it Monday Night Nitro.
See, I always call it Monday Night Nitro, too.
I think its official name is WCW Monday Nitro.
Yeah, whatever. Ours is better.
Yeah, much like, it's Salvo. Anyways, we are at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. And we start the night by going back to last week and how it ended last week. And unless you want to go into detail about this, everyone heard it on the last pod, so we don't really have to go into detail. It's a recap of what happened last week. Anyways, we go to hour number 1. And Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene to his friends, brings out Curt Hennig because he wants to talk about what happened last week.
Yeah.
Joseph, tell us what happened last week. You have to do it anyways.
I don't have stuff. Gene asks if Hennig is here on behalf of WCW or against WCW. So we just immediately tease that he may join the NWO. Stellar.
Who's he with? We're doing this angle again.
Yeah. Hennig says he won't tell Gene anything and he will be participating in Bash at the Beach. He calls himself a free agent. Then Flair comes out and celebrates Curt Hennig's arrival. He says Hennig is joining the Horsemen, and Hennig says, I never said that. But Flair insists they leave together with some woman Flair brought for Hennig. Because Flair's been doing this thing for the last year where he's like a weird, like, mafia bad guy in movies where he's just like, hey, I want you to join me. Here's some dame you can bang. That's like his thing. It's really weird. Anyways, what's wild?
Well, from what I hear,
pimping
ain't easy.
What's wild is a 4 horsemen of Flair, Piper, Hennig, and Benoit would have and could have and should have been a very fun run, but we never do that. Anyways, the segment itself is fine. I'm giving it a C.
Yeah, I think Curt Hennig would be a perfect fit for the 4 Horsemen.
Interesting.
So I tell you, I'm really excited to see Curt Hennig in the 4 Horsemen because I think he will be great as a member of the 4 Horsemen. Let's get to our first match. It's Public Enemy versus Harlem Heat. And as you know, Joseph, the question is always, are there tables?
We'll find out. But apparently, Public Enemy is taking things seriously now, according to commentary. Vincent distracts Booker T, who chases him away, and Public Enemy wins. Sherry accidentally pushes Stevie Ray into this loss, and Harlem Heat are frustrated with her. Mean Gene then interviews them, and Sherry defends herself. Booker says if she can't get her act together, she needs to get to stepping. So she quits instead. Weird way to split them up. They don't use tables, but I'm still giving this a D because there was no precursor to this Sherry split. It just happens out of nowhere. I don't like that. I don't know why this happened. Gets a D.
Were they fighting? Was it a problem?
This would have made
sense
if it was during the whole weird Colonel Robert Parker thing. Because then it's like, there actually has been a buildup. That was a year ago. We haven't touched that. Who knows?
You know what? Maybe they're just bringing that storyline back because that's what they do at WCW.
Although Sherry could be a lot of fun solo. In fact, do you think she could be our hero?
I need a hero. I need a hero. What was that her song, though?
Oh,
good.
dude, that's
Uh,
her entrance?
yeah, and she comes in, like, doing the flash dance running
Yeah,
in place. Oh,
absolutely.
bro, he's so good. Yeah. No, I'm for it. I'm for it. And then she sits in the chair and the water comes down and that's just kind of it. It's like the match somehow. I don't know. Anyways, Joe Gomez versus Conan. Tell me.
Joe Gomez has no hope to win, and Raven is ringside again. Conan locks in the Tequila Sunrise for the win. It's fine. It's a TV match. Good to see.
It's another tequila sunrise. Oh,
Which, by the way, that's like 100% why they named it that, but also like that is not when I think of Conan, I do not think of the Eagles.
yeah. Now, when you put it that way, yeah, yeah. Okay, we got to rebook then. What should Conan's finisher be, and what should it be called? That's the question for you.
Okay, I have spent 0 time thinking about this, so I have, no idea. Oh, I got it. I got it. Remember that
Okay.
DDT thing he was doing where he would, like, lift them up and he would kinda have them angled up and then plant them, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's that DDT, but instead
Okay.
it's the KO Nam.
Bro. Bro. You did that on the fly, and it was hot. That's it, bro. That is it. You got it, man. I love it. I love it. I'm in. I want it. Gotta have it. Conan, big fan of the pod.
Absolutely.
Change your finisher. Change your finisher.
Yeah.
And get back into wrestling because I don't think you wrestle anymore, but
No,
get back in
that's
and change your finisher. Do your legacy match on AEW where they do it
oh, they don't
pay-per-view. It's
like him.
voted
They
to.
don't like him anymore.
Oh, what'd he do?
He
What'd he
spoke
do?
negatively about anything, so he blacklisted over there.
Oh,
You're not allowed to say anything even remotely negative about AEW, then you get blacklisted.
mm. Well, I guess he'll have to find another retirement home for wrestlers.
He's doing good. He's working on the, commentary team, I think, backstage for CMLL now that WWE bought him.
Oh, okay.
So,
Is he still about that bowdy life?
I believe he is about the bowdy life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta listen now. I gotta tune in. I can't understand it, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
tune in.
absolutely.
But speaking of tuning in, I gotta tune into our next match
Mhm,
because it's a hot one. This one has got so much.
mhm.
They booked this match for me.
Did.
We have we have not one, but two Vianos.
Yes.
We got Viano 4 and we got Viano 5
Mhm,
in one corner. In the other corner, we've got Hector Garza, who I don't mind.
mhm.
I don't mind Hector Garza. But more importantly, we got Juventud Guevara. So tell me about this one. It's about 6 minutes for the record.
Yeah. It's my first note is this has almost everything Scott wants. That's my first note.
Yeah.
Hoovy wins this, like you said, 6-minute match, which honestly is not short for a WCW match, but it's short for standard matches. Hoovy wins this with a 450 splash. It's a very fun tag team match. It has no story. I'm giving it a very solid B. One interesting note is that Mike Tenay calls the 450 splash a somersault splash, I believe is what he says, which technically he's not wrong. That is kind of what it is. But it is the 450 splash. And I think, isn't the you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. We were talking about this a while ago. Didn't Scott Steiner, of all people, invent the 450 splash?
I think you said that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you are the confirmation. I will Google it. We'll talk it. We'll go. We'll move into the next thing so you can talk about it while I hit the Google machine. But
gotcha.
I think you're right. I think that's what you told me. Uh, the only thing this match, the only thing this match is missing, and I bet you know what I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, see, they've gotten so much of your things that I'm trying to
Mhm.
figure out what could be
Yeah,
missing from it. Oh,
it's one more.
okay. It's got to be the chairman La Parka.
That's fair. That's fair. That'd been hot. I would switch out heck the Parka for Hector Garza. But what I was going to say is what it really needed was another Villano.
How many? They saw your request last week. They raised it, and you're still asking for more.
Every match, a Villano should have come out from nowhere and like tag switch off because it's silly and I want it. Then though, because I'm trying not to say after that, then though, which sounds terrible,
Yeah.
we got Randy Savage, Scott Hall, and Miss Elizabeth, who kick our commentators out of the announce area. And Larry Zbyszko, he ain't about it.
Mm-hmm.
He calls them the Worm Pack.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta tell you, Larry kind of fired off bangers. Like
Yes.
I'm in for Larry Zbyszko to be our
I said
hero.
last week, I don't know if you don't like him. He's great. When he says that, Mach says, that was an insult. And I laughed so hard at that. Hall talks about how he and Mach teaming up against DDP. He says they don't care who DDP's partner is. Again, if you don't remember, DDP is choosing a partner. He has not announced it. We keep getting asked every single week, is it Raven? Is it Kurt Hennig? Is it, who are there's all these new people. Who is his partner? We don't know. And then Mach says, your surprise is not even working. We're taking you guys very, very lightly. Yeah. Here's the deal. Bash at the Beach is going to be NWO all the way. And I know how you guys like to see us on the video scope later on tonight. You all stay tuned, because the Macho Man's going to give somebody a wrestling lesson. Oh, yeah. And Hall says, and the NWO will just keep being too sweet. And then Mach says, I like it like that, which I loved. And then he remarks on the announcer's desk that he's been laying on for this whole promo. Hey, this is really comfortable. I laughed so hard at how he said that. Zbyszko tells Hall not to touch him, and Hall gets ready to fight, but Mach holds him back. This is pure fun. As much as we've complained about NWO lately, this is just pure fun shenanigans. I enjoyed all of this, especially Zbyszko, because I think, Scott, do you think that Zbyszko could be our hero?
There goes my hero. Watch him as he. I can't remember what they say after that. But anyway,
Hall and Mach are an odd but cool pairing. Also, their rivalry with DDP actually makes a lot of sense storyline wise, also historically wise. Given this whole segment an A, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, although we don't think Macho Man should have ever joined the NWO.
Correct.
He's great on the mic, and Scott Hall is great on the mic.
Yeah.
So these guys together, that's the problem, right? Scott Hall is kind of the guy.
Yeah.
But he's having sobriety issues, so he can't be the guy, right? Like I like Kevin Nash, but like Kevin Nash's commentary is absurd.
Yes.
Like he's throwing out random.
He tries really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like random kind of thought bubbles and popular kind of stuff going on at the time that we don't get, that maybe made sense then, doesn't really make sense now. And then he also kind of gets a little burned out as we go on, right? There's a point where he just drags, where like there are segments that we'll get into where they clearly told him just like, you got to fill up like 3 minutes, and he's got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So he just like asks the same questions over and over and over.
Yeah.
And like, I respect him that he stepped into that role and he did it because it needed to be done, because Hogan's off being Hogan, and we don't really want Hogan on the mic all the time to begin with.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall has sobriety issues, and Mach should not be in the NWO. But I think these are the guys that should do it. This was a great promo. This was good. I like this NWO. I wish it was more of this. I wish it was more of Scott Hall and Randy. If he's got to be in there, he's got to be in the NWO, Randy Savage, because every promo Randy Savage does,
it needs to be the whole point of them is that you're trying to make them cool, right? So they need to be endearing. And I know that, to be fair, at this time, they are seen as very cool. When I watch them by this point, and go back and listen to the early episodes, when we got this, we were hyped every week when NWO was out. We were giving it A's left and right, right? Anything they did, anything they touched was gold. But now they're just kind of insufferable as a whole, as a unit. And I think a lot of it is because they're not endearing. They're just annoying. And there's too many of them. And
Well,
I think you're
and it's
you're centering around Hall, Nash, and one other person that is not Hogan can keep it endearing and fun and interesting. Because Hall and Nash, like, they do have problems, and I actually will talk about one of them in a bit. But, like, they do tend to give their opponents offense and put them over and decide, like, "Hey, maybe you should go over us this time, so that way we can get another one later on." It's not 100% no, me. There, I would say it's still probably 75%, but there's significantly more, like, give and take in comparison. So, it's really difficult to watch week in and week out NWO and be hyped for it. And when you have a segment like this, you're just like, this is what it needs to be. Like, why isn't it just this all the time? So,
Hall, Nash, and Savage understand that a good story requires give and take.
yeah.
Right? It has to be a back and forth, which Hogan doesn't seem to understand. And I think the problem is that most of the promos are Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, who we are so tired of. Eric Bischoff should have never been in the NWO, and Hogan does the same promo every time. Oh, I was busy filming a movie, bro. I don't care, dude. I'm just I'm too important for this. Whatever. I don't find. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when the NWO runs wild on you? Heard it.
Yeah.
So this was good. Do more of this. Then we get a highlight reel for WCW Saturday Night 605. Eddie Guerrero is going to be in action. Diamond Dallas Page is going to be in action. And the Cruiserweight Champion, Chris Jericho, is going to be in action. I wonder if he drops the title on a program that we don't watch.
Yeah.
Got it at a house show. Loses it on Saturday night. Maybe. We'll see. Then we get a video package about Giant and Lex Luger. And it's about how they're best friends. Let me tell you about my best friend. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What'd you think of this, Joseph?
This is fine. But this is a little bit more than just a straight video package. You're right. There's a lot of video bits, but there's also like sit down interviews, intertwined into it and a lot of voiceover. It's basically the story of Lex forgiving Giant for his previous transgressions being in the NWO. And then Giant returning the favor by having the win for the title opportunity, but instead giving it to Lex. So one notable thing in this, and most of it is not very notable, it's just kind of whatever. One notable thing is that Giant is calling the NWO egomaniacs, which Giant, aka Big Show, aka Paul White, 1000% believes. He talked on Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions about them working him and destroying his WCW career, as well as a number of other individuals. Someone would get hot and they would fold them into the NWO just to soak up that heat and then spit them back out. And he actually mentioned specifically the idea of, okay, I drop the title to you now, but you need to return the favor at some point, and that kind of stuff never happening, which doesn't actually specifically say anybody, but he doesn't drop a title to Scott Hall, and he doesn't drop a title to Kevin Nash. So,
Huh.
I don't know who it could be.
Huh.
Anyways, I gave this a C.
You're making some points here, and Giant. Paul White making some points. I will say, because I promised to get back to you on the 450 splash thing, and then I forgot, and now I've remembered again. I looked it up. Scott Steiner is credited with inventing the 450 splash. He does not take credit for it. He says, like, I did it once in like 88 or something like that. That's like he says, like, so he doesn't say that he invented it. Maybe he saw it somewhere else, but he is the first person that we know of. And there's video.
Yes.
I watched while you were talking. I actually watched the video of him doing it. So he maybe isn't the first person to do it. He doesn't claim it, but he's the first person that we know of that did it. So as far as I'm concerned, until proven otherwise, Scott Steiner invented the 450 splat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vicious and delicious. Who we do like.
Yes.
We like that tag team. Versus Eddie and Hi, Chavo Guerrero Jr. They're in action for 8 minutes. Tell me about it, Joseph.
I think this is the first time that Eddie and Chavo have tagged on Nitro together, but I can't remember. Also, a limo is backstage. It pulls up and then it leaves. Okay. Eddie hams up this match, not wanting to get in, but when he does, he makes Scott Norton look great. Then he force tags Chavo in. He's fantastic. Eddie is really becoming who we want him to be. Chavo is hurt and goes for a tag, and Eddie leaves him. He's just like, no, I don't want to go back in. And he just walks away. And Chavo gets destroyed. Eddie says into the camera, it's time to be a man and toughen up. Chavo puts up a great fight, even almost winning before Vicious and Delicious just dismantle him. And Eddie is on the stage shouting, get up, suck it up. Chavo loses as Eddie is disgusted by his performance and leaves. I gave this a B. I really enjoyed this whole thing. Eddie is just, he's becoming what we want. So I'm all for it.
I feel like, again, first hour's been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But will the second hour be as good? No, it won't. It will not. It will not be as good. But we do start off with a fun match.
Mhm.
You know, you said the previous match, one of the previous matches, has only been better with La Parka.
Mhm.
Well, we get La Parka
We do.
versus Randy Savage. Oh, poor La Parka.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
So Larry Zbyszko doesn't want to leave commentary for hour number 2 because he wants to be around to watch Macho Man and any NWO shenanigans. So we get for the first time a 4-man commentary team, which is way too much, but I will let it slide for this match and angle. It makes a lot of sense what Zbyszko is doing as Bobby Heenan now joins the commentary team. Mach doesn't take La Parka seriously at all. Why should he? La Parka has never proven to be a heavyweight champion type person, and Mach is a multiple-time champion. Hall eventually heads over to commentary to taunt Zbyszko because Mach has got this match in the bag, and Mach heads up for the diving elbow, but La Parka gets his feet up. And La Parka gets up as Mach is kind of knocked senseless and hits Mach with a diamond cutter. It's really
What?
DDP under the mask, and he gets one over on Mach. Zbyszko is satisfied with the outcome, and Hall is furious. This is a fantastic segment. And finally, WCW gets one over on the NWO. DDP looks like an intelligent hero, not a bumbling one. Gets an A+ from me.
This is great. We love this kind of stuff, right? We thought it was La Parka. Turns out it's DDP. Mask off. Oh, we love it. We love it. And you're right. WCW has gotten one over on the NWO. Is DDP our hero?
Big if true.
No. Not really. He
Yeah.
kind of becomes it at some point, but it's going to be a while because we keep doing this just like they get one over and then they immediately just kind of ruin all of the momentum. Our next match is Psychosis and Silver King, all right, versus Glacier and Ernest Miller for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you what's not going on, Scott. Silver King is not wearing silver. He's wearing green, so I'm already out.
Yeah, this is
Can't call yourself Silver King and be wearing green.
No.
So
Yeah.
I'm out. Mortis and Wrath cheat, and I just don't care at all. Gets an F.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
The only man that stays cool
Uh-huh.
at all times
Mm-hmm.
is Lee Marshall. Because we get the 1-800-COLLECT road report, and he's in Orlando, Florida, where they're having a Disney-themed Nitro party, he tells us. That's pretty exciting. Tell me, Joseph, what's going on?
That is. He says he walked all over Disney World, but he can't find any attractions called It's a Small Weasel. And nobody knows anything about the story of Alice and Weasel Land, but he'll keep looking for us. Love it. Give it an A+. It's great.
And then it just keeps coming because we got Mean Gene and we got Ric Flair and we have the blonde woman
Mhm,
that apparently he could not pawn off on Kurt Hennig.
mhm.
But more importantly,
Uh-huh.
we got Hot Rod, don't we, Joseph?
Yeah,
Rowdy
we
Roddy
have him.
Piper is there.
We have him in stereo. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Flair comes out, like you said, with the same woman from earlier, and another Roddy Piper mannequin. But this time,
Oh, it's not him?
Piper's music comes on before Flair unveils it. It's literally like there's a giant like blanket over it, but it's clear what it is. Like you could see the blanket's not even covering it. So it's like, what was the point of that in the first place? He cuts a promo at it calling Piper a stiff. But Piper comes out, stands behind him while Flair is talking smack. When Flair realizes, he runs away and Piper chases him to the ring and fights him. This lasts a while before the Horsemen fight him, and of course Piper can only last so long by himself. Jarrett joins the fight then, but we're already going to commercial when this happens, and the camera is pulling away, so he's barely visible by the camera. And Shivani is trying to make it work, so he's just like, "Wait, who's that in the ring? Who's that in the ring?" And then it's a commercial. I don't know, Totino's Pizza Rolls. I don't know what the commercial was. Anyways, I didn't like it. I gave it a C.
I loved it. I loved it. It's just more insanity. I loved the music with the rug, and it's so clearly a mannequin. It's ridiculous. I love that. I love how Rick starts feeling on the kilt as Pipe the real Piper standing behind him. I loved all of this. I love, I do like that we're kind of furthering the Jeff Jarrett storyline. He's been thrown out of the
Mhm.
Horsemen, and so now he's siding with Piper. We won't do anything with it, but I kind of like that they're doing something, right? And I didn't love that Chris Benoit gives him a headbutt.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
it's fantastic, but don't really like it in hindsight.
Yeah.
I loved it. A plus. What did you score it?
C.
Okay, see, I take the C and I put a line on it, put a circle, and give it a little plus. Now it looks like an A plus. It's
There
good.
you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. After that, because I haven't said it in a while, so I'm gonna say it now. After that, we go to the front row because Mike Tenay really wants to get some of these answers from Raven. Why is he here? What is he doing? Raven won't answer. And then we get a debut, Joseph. We get Stevie Richards, who comes out because apparently only Raven will talk to him. And then he proceeds to ask Mike Tenay's questions and then gets slapped
Mhm.
and Raven leaves.
Yeah.
You got anything more you want to add to that?
I gave it a C. I don't really know where this is going. We'll see.
It doesn't go anywhere for months. That's where it goes. Absolutely nowhere for months. And that takes us to our main event. And what a main event it is, because we've got Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner. We got the Steiner brothers. Ooh. Versus Chris Benoit. Okay. Okay, but what is there another horse? Oh no. Versus and Steve Mongo McMichael, because we don't got that many horsemen anymore.
No.
So there we go. It's almost 10 minutes. It's like 9:20. Tell me.
Match itself is fine, but we cut backstage and an angry Mach is attacking Nick Patrick, the referee. I assume Patrick was the referee of his match. I wasn't really paying attention the first time through. Sullivan eventually attacks Benoit from behind because, of course, he does, and hits him over the head with a steel wooden chair. The Steiners win. I gave it a D. So tired. Luckily, I believe they've said that Sullivan versus Benoit is going to be a career match. So at least At least Sullivan going to be gone soon. But God, I'm so over it.
Well, you won't be over our next segment because it ends with Hollywood Hogan and Eric Bischoff to close out the show. And they do exactly what I said they do earlier in the pod.
Yeah.
So tell me, Joseph, what do they say?
Here's what's crazy. This is the go home show before their pay-per-view. And they cut a boring promo, and then Luger and Giant run out, and Bischoff and Vincent get destroyed by them, and Hogan just runs away. Then we just fade to black. This is insanely boring for a go home segment. On top of that, it's like, yeah, did Luger and Giant kind of get the victory in this segment? Yeah, but they beat up Vincent and Eric Bischoff. At least if it was like they beat up Vincent and Hogan in this segment, but then Hogan wins the pay-per-view, you could kind of make it make sense and everything. But no, Hogan gonna win the pay-per-view. He doesn't take an L here. He's never gonna take an L unless he basically gets wrangled down and told he has to. It's bad. I gave it a D.
Yeah, Bischoff gets torture racked. Giant gives Vincent and Buff Bagwell. Well, Buff Bagwell gets chokeslammed too. And then Hogan runs off, just cowering. And that's how we end it. That is the go home show. And the only place I want to go is to WWF Raw at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And we start the show again with loving on Bret the Hitman Hart. Vince, well, first they show us some video from Canadian Stampede, and let me tell you what happens there. What happens there is that you subscribe to the Patreon. And
$2 a month.
$2 a month. But anyways, Bret comes out. He's wearing an Edmonton Oilers jersey, really hamming it up. They're gonna do the national anthem of Canada again. They did it last night. We're gonna get it again. But then something happens, Joseph. Tell me what's going on.
That's true. Like you said, the hometown hero comes out to a standing ovation. Vin Man lets us know that at SummerSlam, Bret Hart is scheduled to face The Undertaker for the WWF Championship. Hart thanks the crowd for letting him still be their hero. He says he was told weeks ago, America, love it or leave it. Well, since then, he has traveled all over the world, and the one thing he looks forward to each time is loving leaving it. He says he isn't anti-American, just very, very pro-Canadian, which I think is a weird sentiment based off everything he said, but fine. Okay, whatever. He says...
Well, after he just said, I love leaving it, which I thought, to be fair, was a great line. I like, that's a good line.
Yes. Yeah, I was...
But then he ruins it.
Yeah, I was so impressed by the Bret Hart line. Anyways, he says Canada has healthcare and gun control and no racial prejudice. Bro, your last segregated school closed 12 years ago. Anyways, get off your high horse.
And I bought a Lee Enfield today, so suck it. I did.
By the way, I did also research this. The last segregated school in Canada closed in 1983. So
that's wild.
Yeah, so it was only 12 years. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's not 12. That's 14 years. 14 years prior to this. But this is a Canadian rhetoric in general. But trust me, if you do 5 seconds of research, which I did, racism is alive and well in Canada as well as prejudice. The problem has more to do with the spread of awareness in today's media. America, a notoriously racist and prejudiced country, which it is a far bigger power, and so its problems are more widespread. Canada has those exact same problems with hate crimes actually raising every year since 2018. They do
have
an
infomercial. What are you doing?
They do have the healthcare thing that America refuses to adopt because our politicians make too much money off of it. Back to this promo.
What are you doing?
Back to this promo.
My God. You simultaneously shit on Canada and the United States. Notoriously racist and whatever you... What are you doing?
Am I wrong? Anyways.
We're not having this discussion on the Monday Night Wars podcast.
Oh, man. Anyways, back to this promo. Brett assures the crowd he won't let his fans down and will be WWF champion for a 5th time. This is something that Bret Hart really will stick on for the next few weeks, is talking about being a 5-time champion. That's a really important number to him. I don't hate it. I'm just letting you know it'll come up a lot. He promises, though, that if he loses, he will never, ever wrestle on American soil again. He introduces Owen Hart. He calls him the best technical wrestler in the WWF, but I would call him Owen Hart Best Hart. Anyways, he then introduces the British Bulldog, who says, he says will annihilate Ken Shamrock at SummerSlam. He then plays the Canadian national anthem on the Titantron. They all stand in respect and admiration of their home country. And then Steve Austin comes up from behind with a steel chair and interrupts them with a few good wallops, and it's great. Let me be clear, I do actually really like Bret Hart here. I think this is one of his best promos of the year by far. I made the comment about Canada and all that, but the promo itself is good, even if it is a super big ego play for Bret Hart. I'm still giving this segment an A. I thought it was well done across the board.
Yeah, it has a payoff, so I'm with it because it's got a great payoff. Like you said, they do the Canadian anthem thing has a purpose, right? Because they put the Canadian flag up on the Titantron. They turned the flag to show their respect, which gives, while their backs are turned, gives Austin the opportunity to attack them with the chair. Right. So I think it's a good setup and payoff. I'm all for it. When we come back after that, we go to commercial break. When we come back, Vince wants to apologize on behalf of the WWF and Stone Cold Steve Austin for interrupting the Canadian national anthem, which I think Bret interrupted the American national anthem once. Maybe he hasn't yet, or he does, and we don't get this. Come on. USA number 1. One of us on this pod likes this country.
I like this country, but I will still criticize it when it does things that is wrong.
Shut up, you damn commie. Anyways, Vince is very apologetic. And that takes us to our next match, unless there's anything you want anything more I'm missing. Okay.
No, that's it.
We got a spoiler. We got the same match we had last night. We got the Great Sasuke versus Taka Michinoku for, I got the time here. Where is it? 5 minutes, 46 seconds.
Brian Christopher is on commentary. Man, they're going to job out Michinoku or Sasuke to Grandmaster Sexay, aren't they? Anyways, Great Sasuke recorded a promo earlier. It is entirely in Japanese, and they have 0 subtitles, which makes perfect sense. I have no problem with him doing a promo in Japanese. I love that, actually. They do that a lot now with a lot of the Japanese wrestlers, instead of trying to force them to learn English, and then you have broken English, which I think is way more useless than just giving them subtitles. But anyways, so we have now on commentary Jerry Lawler and his son Brian Christopher, and then they make Asian jokes on commentary. Lawler says he knows a lot about Japanese culture because he has watched a lot of Godzilla movies. This is in no way the worst joke, but anytime they open their mouths, I'm expecting something vile and horrific to come out. Now I'm going to use a term to give historical context and to explain what an awful person Jerry Lawler is. Like when they call them Japs, which is a term that technically predates World War II. However, it wasn't used offensively until World War II and beyond. There are tons of propaganda posters from that era depicting racist caricatures of Japanese people, usually with some rhyming scheme with the term Jap. That's the last time I'll use the term. Anyways, then when you add on the internment camps that America subtly ignores in their propaganda about Nazi concentration camps.
What are we doing?
The derogatory term is clearly a problem. I do think this is interesting about the term, though. The term would intermittently pop up back up into American culture as well as Canadian culture. And there's a distinction here because it is both those cultures use it. By the way, Canadian culture uses the term, but not a prejudiced land. Over the next many decades, it would see a massive revival in the World War II media boom in the late 90s and early 2000s. Interestingly, though, you don't hear it at all in Band of Brothers for two reasons. One, that portion of the war is in obviously France and Germany, so it doesn't really make sense to have it. But also, because that term is, or that's a masterpiece and they know what they're doing. However, they do use the term kraut, which is a derogatory term for Germans, but given the historical context of it, it also makes a lot of sense. I think they probably use the former term in the Pacific, but I don't remember. I've only watched the one time and it's really not a very good show. Anyways, it's not. Uh anyways, this match is much like the previous night's match. Really fun. It's very good. It itself is good, but they are on commentary. And like the minute that this match started and Brian Christopher was on commentary, I was like, oh, this is gonna be horrible. And that whether or not that is your version of horrible, I don't know. I actually didn't realize this was such a racist term until like 6, 7 years ago. Like I genuinely had no idea about it.
You thought, it's just shortening the word. What could be
Yeah,
which is probably how it originally started, right?
right.
Just
That was because again, it predates World War II. It started as just a shortened, easy
yeah,
term.
it's just
Yeah.
Japanese shortened to Jap,
Yeah,
right?
that
And
was it.
then but World War II is, obviously, and and the Germans are Krauts and Huns and all those kind of things
Yeah.
too. And I
So,
don't really get the Hun one because that's like the Mongols, but
yeah,
whatever. Germans get
whatever.
called Huns.
Back to the match though. Sasuke wins with a thunder firebomb, according to JR. I've never heard it called that. I also don't really know what it is. Um, it's a good match. And then I think this is the last time we see him on our screens. I think I could be wrong, but I don't recall him showing up really after this. So I don't really know why that fell through. They clearly wanted him to be their guy, and he just ends up not being.
It becomes the Taka Michinoku show, but we're all right with that. We like
Yeah.
Taka.
Yeah.
And in my notes, I wrote, "Is Brian Christopher supposed to be their Mike Tenay?" That's what I wrote in my notes. Why else have him here? To start a rivalry, maybe, but they don't really start one.
I don't remember one.
They Well, I mean, and they don't start one here. Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
run in, or they don't
Right, right,
have a
right.
beef or
Yeah,
something,
he's
like
rivaling with the Putskis. That's where that so it's like, why here?
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Oh, I actually and I will tell you that I did look this up because you've brought it up before, the Suzuki thing, and I don't know if this is the reason, but apparently he told the Japanese press that if he got the light heavyweight title, he would only drop it in Japan, and
Mm,
that ruffled feathers, supposedly.
interesting.
So yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason or if it was other kind of contract disputes or whatever, but apparently that was out there. Apparently he had said that and a newspaper reported it, and
Yeah,
that was believed to be in the dirt sheets, that didn't sit well with WWF.
yeah.
You're not gonna steal our title, basically. We've already had that happen once. And
Yeah, and also they don't want a Tokyo screw job on their hands, so
no, they don't. And they don't want Suzuki to go and drop it in the trash over at New Japan Wrestling or whatever. So there you got that. And that takes us to the Gang Wars video package. We have a gang war going on in the WWF. And that also leads into our next match. So I think I'll just set that up for you and you can just roll into it.
Mhm,
We've got Savio Vega
mhm.
and his faction
Huh?
versus Crush with his faction.
Mhm.
Because everybody got a faction now.
Yeah.
And this match is, hold on, I got into my notes, 2 minutes, 42 seconds.
We got ourselves a race war. This almost immediately falls apart into a brawl. Jim Ross is naming these guys like we have any idea who they are. Like he said, I remember distinctly him saying, "Look what they did to Jose." I still don't remember who Jose is. No idea. They eventually get separated and whatever. I gave this a C. It's, I guess, fine for what it is, but it is hard for me to get invested. There are some segments that are actually kind of humorous coming up, so hopefully those happen soon, and I can kind of gain an appreciation. But right now, I'm pretty far out on this.
Yeah. So I have a question here
Mhm.
about what's going on, right? So we have Savio Vega, and his faction is, I think it's mostly Puerto Rican. I mean, it's Latino, but I think it's Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah.
Like that's yeah, like because he's Puerto Rican. And I think the other guys are Puerto Rican, or at least they're pretending like they're Puerto Rican. We were told Crush was an African American, uh,
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he was a person of color,
Yes.
right? And now he's with the Disciples of the Apocalypse, which seem like they're just a bunch of white bikers. So is Crush white now? Or
Well, hold on real quickly though. What is more white than cultural appropriation?
if I had $1 for every person who told me, "Oh, I'm 138th Cherokee." Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it, bro. I get it. Uh, every white person I've ever met either had a family member come on the Mayflower or is
Yeah.
1/1,000,000th some Native American.
Yeah.
I got none of that shit.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
Germans.
Yeah.
That's all we are.
Yeah.
Like, I guess on my mom's side, we're Irish, but on my dad's side, we're Germans. That's it. And we've been here for
Yeah.
100 years. So I don't consider any of that other stuff relevant. But yeah, uh, then we go to the break, we come back, and they're pimping a 1-hour special called WWF Summer Flashbacks, which seems to be just a clip show of old SummerSlam matches to get you hyped for the pay-per-view. So there's that.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's we gonna watch it? Are we gonna watch the clip show?
I think we have to. I mean, we'll probably won't be able to
If we
find it anywhere, but yeah.
if if we can find it, maybe we'll watch it and report
Stop
back. It's on.
stop committing things that you have no intention of fulfilling.
Oh, you don't think I've watched the movie? I guess you'll find out. I guess you'll find out. My wife was gone for a week, sir. I had free time. And let me just say that we may have found a Hulk Hogan movie that was available for free somewhere, and I may have watched it, and it was garbage.
My
But
my my wife is gone this weekend, and I will be doing none of that.
see, I do nothing. Everything I do is for the fans, right? I give my life for the fans.
Yes,
I put my
absolutely.
blood, toil, tears, and sweat into this podcast for the fans. And what do you do for? And what do you do? I mean, what have you done? What have you done for this podcast lately? Oh yeah, you edit it. You draw all the art. You cut things out when I say offensive things that I later regret. Like, other than that, what have you done for this podcast?
And I run all the
Oh,
social
oh,
medias.
oh yeah, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot. You run all the social media. You put the pod up on all of the streaming services. You handle all the Patreon stuff. Like, other than that, though, what have you done? I, on the other hand,
Yes. Uh-huh.
watch a couple episodes of wrestling,
Uh-huh.
take really lax notes because I just let you fill in the important stuff,
Uh-huh.
and do this for a couple hours.
You
So I
know,
mean, let's
all
in
right.
the Venn diagram here, I think I
Uh,
got a bigger bubble, is all I'm saying.
can I can I can I can I say one thing?
Yeah, say it. Yeah, if you dare.
I I feel like I owe you an apology because those were a lot of really good points,
Yeah,
and now I
yeah.
feel foolish.
You should. I'm embarrassed for you. And I just hope to God
Uh-huh.
that the fans can forgive you as I have.
That's beautiful, man.
Because
Mhm.
we talked with Paul Bearer backstage.
What kind of transition was
Don't
that?
question. Don't question. And Paul Bearer, he wants us to know
Mhm.
that his version of the story, his explanation of the events, responding to Undertaker's explanation of the events, responding to his explanation of the events, responding to his explanation of events again, he's right. And Undertaker is a murderer, which he says again, and I love it every time. Tell me, fill in the blanks for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Much like my apology a second ago, Vin Man asked if Paul Bearer wants to make an apology, and
Mhm.
Bearer says, "Why should I
Well, that'd been a great
apologize?"
segue.
I know. Bearer says, "Why should I apologize? I didn't do the killing," and I laughed so hard at that. Vin Man asks why we should believe that Kane is alive, and Bearer says, "'Cause Kane told me." And that he is alive and disfigured, horribly disfigured. And then he starts talking about how, like,
Mhm.
some parts aren't disfigured, but some parts are disfigured. And it's just like, you should have just said disfigured and just gone on with it, but it's hilarious. He says that hate kept Cain alive all these years. This is fine, but really just move the story along. I'm not going to give this one an A. I'm going to give it a very solid B.
Do you do you think Glenn Jacobs was like, "Hey, like, I don't want people to think, like, it's disfigured." Like, so they had to shoehorn that in? Like, because 'cause you're right, it was weird. It was weird. I in my notes, I wrote weirdly specific about the disfigurement.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Glenn
He's
Jacobs.
disfigured and it's got a curve. What?
Mhm,
Anyways.
mhm. I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do know
Uh,
is we got Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus the Nation, which is D'Lo and Farouk. We got D'Lo. Is this D'Lo's first match?
no. He's wrestled a couple now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we don't get a debut screen.
Nope, we don't.
Not my fault. It's
Nope.
your fault, not mine. You could have let me live a life. Again, look what you're doing to this pod. Look what you're doing. But anyways, the Hart Foundation versus the Nation
Uh-huh.
in a let me again get the proper name of this.
Yes.
The WWF World Tag Team Title Tournament Final Match. 6
Beautiful.
minutes 50 seconds.
Anvil and Pillman go down with Owen and Bulldog, and Pillman spots a sign in the crowd and grabs it and holds it in the ring. It says Nation of Masturbation. Classic Brian Pillman.
Whoa.
Vin Man asks Austin backstage if he has picked his partner. And Austin says, "You don't listen at all. I don't care who my partner is." Vin Man presses him to pick Mankind, and Austin calls him a long haired freak. Lawler says D'Lo Brown was stealing hubcaps while other kids were stealing bases. Jesus Christ. The match itself is fun. We like all four competitors. We get a brawl when Kama pulls down the ropes and Owen tumbles out. Everyone starts fighting. The ref is counting these members out, but Owen realizes and rolls into the ring. And he's the only one in the ring when we get to a 10 count. So Owen, for the second night in a row, wins the whole thing. And Mankind comes out to shout at Owen. This isn't bad, but it is a little bit hard for me to get invested in what I watched. I'm giving it a C plus, all things considered.
I do like this angle though that, Owen is kind of the technical wrestler. He
Mhm.
knows the rules and he's got a kind of sneaky but legal way to win. Like he's doing nothing wrong, but it's
Yeah.
also kind of sneaky, right? It's like, I
Mhm.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good. Then we get Stone Cold Steve Austin in an
Mhm.
interview
Mhm.
with Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And he wants to know, we got the 1996 King of the Ring and the 1997 King of the Ring in a match.
Mhm.
What does Austin think about the Hunter, Hurst Helmsley? What does he think, Joseph?
Austin says Hunter Hurst Helmsley, the 1997 King of the Ring. Hell, I've been there and done that. He's always eating his little caviar. Well, I'm fixing to open up a can of whoop ass and see if he likes the taste of that. As far as China getting in my way, I ain't above punching anybody's lights out. This has not aged well. This part of it has not aged well. Anyways, and that's the bottom line. So you can expect that's what you can expect from Steve Austin. I gave it a B. It's a good promo, potentially minus one line.
Especially considering
Yes. That's why I said it has not aged well.
issues that
Yes.
Mr. Austin allegedly had.
Yes.
We'll get there. Anyways, I do have to ask, though.
Uh-huh.
Do you think this should be the main event?
Let me see what the main event is. I forgot.
It's Bret Hart and Goldust.
No, I think that should be the main event.
You think that's the main event?
They're
Okay.
in Edmonton,
Okay.
Alberta, Canada, which is like right next to Calgary. It's got to be the main event.
Fair. That's a good point. I think any other night I would like this
Yes,
better as the
I
main
agree.
event, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, 9 minutes, 26 seconds. Tell me about Steve Austin versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I wish they would just come up with a shorter name for the guy. It's just,
Yeah.
it's too many words.
Like HHH, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rolls right off the tongue. Anyways,
What about they call them? Ah,
I'd love it. It'd be great.
yeah.
This will become a big rivalry, but not quite yet. This is a fun match that sees China distract the ref while Hunter grabs chair to use on Austin. Mankind runs out and takes the chair to the head instead. Hunter turns and Austin hits the stunner for the win. Austin grabs a mic post-match and calls Mankind a long-haired freak. He tells Mankind to get in the ring. Come out here every week saying, pick me, Steve, pick me, Steve. I'll lay it out on the line for you, you piece of trash. I don't like you one bit, but I'll damn sure go to war with you if that's what you want. All you got to do is shake my hand and we're a tag team. And Austin extends his hand and the crowd is losing their mind because they want this tag team. But Mankind, he don't want to shake hands. He wants a hug. So Austin obliges and the two embrace and it's beautiful. And Mankind celebrates his triumph and then he turns right into a Stone Cold Stunner. Austin grabs a mic and says, DTA, you stupid piece of trash. Don't ever trust nobody. You ain't ever going to be my partner nowhere because you're a long-haired freak and you suck. God, Austin is hilarious. JR says, if you'd like to have a pet rattlesnake, I'll give you Austin's phone number. I think this is the first time we've been given the rattlesnake moniker. I think. Could be wrong. Mankind then grabs the mic and shouts, Austin, I was just looking for a little bit of respect. I was looking for a friend and you ruined that all. So it's become very apparent that drastic measures will be taken because next week I'm going to have to do something I never thought I'd do again. And it will become very obvious that the World Wrestling Federation will never be the same. Steve Austin, you will never be the same. And without a doubt, next week, Mankind will never be the same. This was a B+ match. The post match made it an A+. Love it.
Because we've got some major developments
Absolutely.
next week.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. What I don't love is our next match.
Agreed.
Because we just had Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hunter Hearst Helmsley with involvement from Mankind. And then we go into Brian Christopher, and hold on, let me put my peepers on. Eric Shelley, who doesn't even have a hyperlink on the Pro Wrestling Weekly, so no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
So tell me about this. They also don't even have a time, but I timed it at like 3:50.
Okay. Vin Man tells Lawler that Ivan and Scott Putski want to challenge Lawler and Brian Christopher. Lawler says Polish people are ignorant. What? Is that a thing? Okay. Brian Christopher wins with a diving leg drop. Then Lawler runs in and attacks Shelley. They spike pile drive him. Then Lawler gets a mic and taunts the Canadian crowd and the Putskis. And I gave this a D. Didn't like it.
Yeah. The purpose of this is to set up this rivalry with the Putskis, and we don't need it.
Yeah.
We do not need a rivalry with the Lawlers and the Putskis.
Yeah.
You're doing well, WWF.
Yeah.
I think you hit a lot more than you miss, and this is a miss. We shouldn't do this.
Yes.
But they do it. Oh, but they do it. And then Vince McMahon does that thing he does. He talks to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because they realize this dude hot.
Yeah.
So get him out as many times as humanly possible. Tell me what's going on.
This is Austin's third major segment in the show. Vin Man asks Austin about getting arrested last night, and Austin says it will be a different reaction in San Antonio, Texas, than he received here. He says, you can put my hands behind my back, but you can't shut up the fingers." Great line. Vin Man asks about his partner, and Austin says once again he doesn't care. Austin says that if he doesn't pick a partner, then Gorilla Monsoon will exercise his right to pick his partner. He thinks that's fine because Monsoon hasn't exercised his tub of guts body in 30 years. Vin Man asks about Austin versus Owen at SummerSlam, and Austin says Bret Hart says if he gets beat, he won't wrestle in the United States again. Big deal. If Austin doesn't beat Owen at SummerSlam, Owen can pull down his trunks, pull down his little panties, and Austin will kiss him right on his ass right in front of the world. Put that in the contract. I'll kiss his ass if I can't kick it. It's a great, great line, great segment. Austin gets another A+.
It's all he does. Does nothing but bangers and stunners. Nothing? I got nothing?
I was waiting for you to find a segue from that to our next segment.
Wow. Speaking of stunners, Marlena. Oh, you didn't think I had. I don't even know if she's in this. I don't even know if she's here.
I don't recall her
didn't write
coming out, but I get where you're going with that.
Yeah. So I don't even think she's here because I didn't write it down. I usually write it down if she's there.
Yeah.
But anyways, Bret Hart because she said I ain't going to Canada.
She said hate crimes in Canada have gone up every year since 2018.
Historically and notoriously. Anyways, we got Bret Hart and Goldust for 10 minutes and 26 seconds.
Goldust has a pre-recorded interview where he says this isn't country versus country. It's you versus me tonight. And tonight will be your final curtain call because you will never forget the name Goldust. And then DOA comes out randomly. Then the Hearts come out. Then Ken Shamrock and LOD come out. Then Stone Cold comes to the top of the ramp. Bret wins a well-fought match with a leverage pin. The Hearts celebrate and the show closes. That's all that happens. I criticized WCW for this a few weeks ago, and I have to do the same to WWF. These people and factions are all brought out just to be brought out. There's no rhyme or reason for it. I like the match, though, so I won't give this a complete F. I'm going to give it a D.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And that's pretty much it. We end the night, though, again with the Hart Foundation in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
The people cheering them, all of that. What a send-off for the Hart Foundation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. If Bret Hart was leaving the organization, this is how I think you would do it in a respectful way and make him feel comfortable going out on his back. And that's all I'm saying about that. We'll get there. And we talked about it more on the Patreon if you want to hear me rant about it, and I'll rant even more in Montreal. But before that's a way to end it, but I'm not going to end it because we have to ask, who did it better? Is it Nitro or is it Raw? I thought Nitro was pretty good this week.
I thought it was like it's a recurring problem, right? First half good, second half bad. Raw certainly had some misses, but it had really, really good things. I'm still giving it to Raw.
This is tough because you're telling me. I mean, I had the Vianos.
That's true.
And I had Ric Flair with a mannequin again.
That's true.
You know what? I'm going to give it to Nitro. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You going to do stuff, okay? Stuff, because we're trying to not swear so
I edited it all out. Don't worry, you're good.
Yeah. You're just going to give me a woo.
No, whenever for that, I literally do stuff.
I've seen it.
No, you don't watch the pod. You don't even watch the pod.
Don't you dare. And thank you all for watching the pod, listening to the pod, liking, commenting, subscribing. We do this for you and that you seem to enjoy it because it's a lot of work for me and it's like 100 times the amount of work for Joseph. So if I think it's a lot of work, it's like torture for
I
you.
thought
So
I thought you were gonna say, "It's a lot of work for me. Bye, guys," and just leave it at
no,
that.
I am a decent fellow and we've had our fun with it. And now I'm giving you your kudos because you do a fantastic job putting all this stuff together week after week, doing those drawings that I love, that I know are a lot of work that you don't want to do anymore, and it's cool if you don't want to do anymore. But I and the fans love them. We get tons of positive responses all the time
I
from
actually, to
people.
be clear, I do like doing them. What I have found, though, is that I have to really, be better about how I plan them out. Like,
Gotcha.
there was one that I thought about doing for last week's episode, that is, it was an image of, Mean Gene, interviewing somebody. I don't remember who he was interviewing, and I actually really enjoy drawing Mean Gene. I've clearly drawn him a number of times, but the jacket he was wearing was like, it was like tweed, so it was just
Mhm.
all lines, and I was like, I looked at that and I was like, "Oh, I should draw that one," and then I looked at his jacket and I went, that's gonna take hours. Hell no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just backed out, so some of it's strategic, and then some of it is, like, putting in some drawings of things I wanna do that aren't pod related. You've seen them. I've been sending you some of the more
Yes.
recent ones that are just kind of, like, for fun. That helps make it more enjoyable.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I appreciate it, man, because, we're watching like 7 or 8 hours of content every week to put this together, right? Like every other week, I
Yeah.
guess, to be fair. And then on top of that, you're doing all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you doing it. I hope the listeners and the fan and the watchers appreciate it. They seem to because they keep listening. So we appreciate you listening to our DIY podcast because I'm gonna double down and just keep calling it that. I don't care.
Well,
It's the little podcast.
that was the correct version of it. You said
No, it
DIY.
wasn't.
Yeah.
No, don't be stupid. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.